What's up, everyone? Chris Mack coming at you today with the Knightfall Azrael Batman. This is the Mafex Medicom version, and this is the gold label McFarlane DC Multiverse version. I gotta say, I love both of them thus far. If you guys want to grab these figures at the time of this recording, unfortunately, traditional routes such as Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth are sold out. However, you could still grab the Mafex one on Amazon. This one's getting a little bit harder to find, so you're probably going to have to check the secondary market of like eBay, what's that website called, Mercari, places like that, because it's getting harder and harder to find that one. So we see the Windows figures look gorgeous. Let's start with the Mafex one. Love the plethora of accessories that this figure comes with. Love that they use that Batman version from the 90s. Great picture of the figure there. On the side, beautiful product shot with all that lovely red, Knightfall, Batman, Mafex. On the back, all the great poses you could do with it, all the different ideas and whatnot, especially with this, well, we'll get into that grappling hook in a minute. On the side, love that it kind of has that different type of product shot, looks beautiful there. On the bottom, nothing really important there. On the top, beautiful Batman logo there. So that's the Mafex version. As for the gold label McFarlane, you have your traditional look with the DC Multiverse looking, Azrael Batman armor. Okay. Window on the back. Love that this is from, I believe it's Detective Comics 667. This is Joe Kelly. One of my favorite personal covers there. On the side, still love they have the names, so if you see them on a peg, you know what you're getting yourself into. Nothing really on the bottom. Unfortunately, nothing on the top. Now, with that said, which of these Knightfall Batmans is the top choice? Let's get them open and get a closer look. As we covered in the Curse of the White Knight Azrael review, Jean Paul Valley, also known as Azrael, was created by Dennis O'Neil and Joe Quesada, first appearing in Batman Sword of Azrael #1 from October of 1992. Now, to understand Jean Paul as Batman, we need to rewind to the legendary Dark Knight storyline, which ran from April to October of 1993 across Batman issues 492 to 500 and Detective Comics 659 to 666. This arc introduced Bane, who escaped the prison Pena d'Oro, I think is how you pronounce it, and releases every inmate from Arkham Asylum to mentally and physically exhaust Batman. After Bruce is worn down, Bane ambushes him, breaks his back in a now iconic moment, and throws him from a rooftop in Gotham Square to show the city who's boss. With Bruce incapacitated, he chooses Jean Paul to wear the cowl, despite Tim Drake arguing that Dick Grayson should take up the mantle. Bruce insists Dick has his own path and would only take the role reluctantly. Ironically, Dick is the most hurt by not being asked. At first, Jean Paul tries to be Batman by the book, but after encountering the Scarecrow and has an exposure to fear gas, the system, his Azrael conditioning, kicks in. He becomes more violent, erratic, and alienates the Bat family. Eventually, Jean Paul confronts Bane and defeats him, but nearly kills him in the process, revealing just how far he's fallen. This darker chapter continues in Night Quest, which splits into two threads: Bruce's recovery in The Search, and Jean Paul's descent as the unstable Batman in The Crusade. Finally, in Night's End, Bruce returns, defeats Jean Paul, and reclaims the mantle. Jean Paul concedes, saying, "You are the Batman. You've always been the Batman, and I am nothing." Behind the scenes, the writers crafted Jean Paul as a commentary on the violent 90s anti-hero, complete with over-the-top armor, massive muscles, and tiny feet, a visual nod to artists like Rob Liefeld. And it was all designed to show that Batman's true strength wasn't brute force, but moral clarity and restraint. So guys, if you've never read Knightfall, Night's Quest, Night's End, I hold that near and dear to my heart because that was about the time that I started regularly collecting Batman along with the death of Superman, so I kind of hold both of those arcs near and dear to me. As for the figures, they're both beautiful, but I kind of prefer the Mafex because it just looks more like the armor that Jean Paul chose, because as he goes further and further into the system, he starts out with the regular Batman suit and then dons these gauntlets. But by issue 500, when he defeats Bane and Tim says that you have earned the mantle, he fully goes into this whole new look. And I didn't really like it all that much when I was younger, But kind of going back, the design choice was awesome. It's beautiful, and it just really barks that 90s design. Just the gray legs with all these sharp, pointed edge just shows a whole different Batman. I don't know. And I loved how the face was covered up. And in here, you can just really see the designs. You can see the grittiness, that frown, and the red ears. And then, of course, just this whole bendy wire cape where I think it has 2 points of articulation. So it has the main outer port part of the cape, and then you can also take the other part and pull it up like so. And this is exactly why I love this piece. It just has all that lovely golden yellows, the midnight blues, the blood red eyes, and of course the pouches all over, and the muscles are very pronounced, and it looks like it's all part of one piece. In this one, in addition to having the bendy wire cape, great articulation, as you can see, up, down, side to side, lots of play. Because of this piece here, which I love, that metallic silver, you kind of have to finagle it, but you can still get it to go 360. And of course, the bicep swivel. And the one thing I love about Mafex is you don't necessarily have to warm these up out of the packaging. And the same I've kind of noticed with Mezco, not as bad. But yeah. Be careful on the hands, though, because they do have a habit to pop off, but they do the up and down. And they do the spinny. And he does bend both at the waist and the solar plex, so you can get really great articulation. A full spinning there. Legs out that much. Legs out that far. Though, unfortunately, this is kind of where McFarlane does have both Hasbro and Mafex beat. But flap, can't pull the leg all the way back. It is a thing. You can move the leg joint up and down. Be careful with that. It does do the swivel there. Double jointed knees, 90 degrees on the elbow. But has your rocker, and I'm glad that they also have the toe pivot. So beautiful paint apps all around. Great articulation. Yeah, this one is the winner for me. Now, the McFarlane one, don't get me wrong, it's not ugly, it's not horrible. But my question is, like, they've released different versions with the more mechanical looking cape, which is cool. But when they did this release, why the hell did they go with the light blue? I mean, no. And that's probably the most off-putting thing. That, and then as you can see, Azrael's armor looked like abs, looked like part of the suit here. This just looks like a very untucked, tailored shirt. And the golds are not as gold. They're more of a dark, I don't know, kind of pukish yellow. You can kind of see the red in the eyes, which is not too bad. You get some facial expression. But I could forgive all that. I'm like, okay, cool, you kind of get an alternate take. But what I hate the most is he's just now starting to release the bendy wire cape figures. And this was right before they started. So we're stuck with this ugly, heavy cape, which, because it's ugly and heavy, you get that bullshit going on. The abs aren't as pronounced. Again, just looks like a t-shirt. The camo gray, light gray is all right. We also get the spikes. They don't feel as pronounced or mechanical as this. The hands just have that claw look, as where we get multiple hands and punching. I don't know. I'm not super excited about this one, but you can get some great photography with it, don't get me wrong. Now, as for the articulation, you get a decent on the head, side to side, all the way around on the rocker. And because it's that fat, ugly cape, it's harder to do the all the way around, unlike the other one. That's as far as the arm really goes. It does have the upper bicep swivel. Mercifully double jointed elbows. And of course, the regular McFarlane ballpoint. And he does thankfully spin at both points. You just have to kind of grab it, or else it's not going to work with you. So you can get him down that much, that far back, leg out that far, legs that, and then he does, well, this one's more of a hard butt flap, but you can still get up almost 90 degrees. Double jointed knees. And then, of course, the foot pivot. So the articulation on this one's not too bad. I just don't like that they decided to go with a baby blue. It just does not scream Knightfall as much as this version does. So if I were you, because the secondary market is starting to get pricey on both these figures, I would say if you're saving up to get yourself a cool Knightfall looking figure, go with this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this one or not. I'm really on the fence, but this one's definitely going to be a keeper for me. Which one do you guys prefer? Now, as for accessories, unfortunately, the McFarlane version really doesn't come with anything. I mean, he does come with your mandatory McFarlane stand, which, cool, but it's like you couldn't give us some rope or some batarangs, just the figure. Oh, okay, I guess that's all we're going to get. He also does come with the cool trading card, and this is probably my favorite cover from Kelly Jones from the Knightfall era. This is Detective Comics 667. Kelly Jones was just a beast on that cover, and that was one of the first ones that I ever tried to impersonate with my young sketching skills. But yeah, I love that cover. I'll also make sure to get the back so you guys can check it out at your convenience. And that's it for accessories with the McFarlane version. However, for the Mafex version, he does come with both kick-ass sort of claw gripping hands, and they look beautiful. I love that sheen on them. Then he comes with two, not just one, but two type of like battering launchers, because that was one of the things that when he built his gauntlets, he could shoot batarangs instead of having to throw them like Bruce did. And I love how it has just that clear plastic, so it's not super noticeable. And I believe what you do is you take the bracer, we'll take the hand up just for a better example here, and it just fits ever so gently into that. Okay, I lied. It's not the bottom. That was tricky. It's the top, here on the top of the bracer. So you put it there, and boom. That looks pretty badass to me. And I mean, if you want to get a good camera shot of that, I mean, look at that. Why can't McFarlane get creative like that? I get trying to save money so that you can produce more, but I'm more over about quality over quantity. And that's definitely a quality piece right there. And those batarangs just look beautiful in that little slot there. And then, of course, he has his Azrael Batman mask. Looks beautiful. The sheen just has that metallic armor look, and you can actually see the red eyes very well in the lighting. And he comes with the Jean Paul Valley head. So I appreciate when we get that. It's kind of like how with the Hush version, how we got the Bruce Wayne head. Blonde hair. Looks good in the more determined look like so, with the blue eyes. Beautifully sculpt, flesh tone. Looks great. The one accessory that I do not like all that much is this grappling hook. The Hush version that we saw, it was like you could attach it to a gun. So it looked like a grappling thing. This one is supposed to be done everything out of the gauntlets, and I think, I'm not 100% sure here, but you're supposed to be able to finagle it into the bottom, I think. But it doesn't stay very well. And I understand they have to make it a very thin metal rod, but you can see just barely from futzing with it how it starts to bend. And to me, that's kind of piss poor. But to have it, I've tried re-straightening it. If you guys have any tips on how to straighten that back out, because that thing is a pain in my ass. It is what it is. Now, along with the claws that we saw, it does come with two punching hands. I love that they made sure to make those fists with the spikes just look very intimidating, beautiful there. He also does come with open hands, like so. So you get more of like a lunging effect going on. And then apparently this is kind of a holding hand, I think. Yeah. So this one, unlike these where they're closed fist, this one's kind of open, so I think you can sneakily see how it doesn't really stay all that much. That's kind of aggravating, but at least you have the option to put stuff in those hands. So a plethora of accessories, especially in conjunction to all that, he comes with a flight stand. Now, this one was a little loose when I got it out of the packaging, but unlike the McFarlane ones where these parts are sealed off and you can't tighten them, these you just take a tiny screwdriver and it tightens up relatively well, so it articulates right. And it comes with your regular closed one for the waist. And it has one that you can kind of put maybe under the bum. I'm not too sure what this is for. If you guys know, let me know. But we have it, and then we come with another kind of vice grip. So, I mean, look at that. Yes, Mafex is more expensive, but you are definitely getting the bang for your buck in terms of accessories. Because I mean, and then on top of all that, the bendy wire cape. And that's really what made me say, okay, this is the version that I'm buying and more than likely going to be keeping. Now to get an idea of scaling, here's the Mafex versus the McFarlane's Azrael Batman, and then the deluxe Bane. So this Azrael stands somewhere around 7 inches. So this is probably what, easily a 8 or 9 inch figure because it's a deluxe one. And then of course your standard 6 inch. Of these two, the one that I definitely would recommend is the Mafex version if you guys are looking, because both of these are getting harder to find. Even though this one's beautiful, Mafex definitely knocked it out of the park with this rendition. And because Bane is so big, he's going to scale well with either which one that you guys want to go with, though I prefer this because when you see the original Knightfall and Azrael and Bruce going against Bane, they just look like ants compared to how big this son of a beaver can get. I love this piece, beautifully sculpted. But between the two, I tend to gravitate towards this one. And other than it looking beautiful, the bendy wire cape beats it. I hate that this release was still on the tail end of these ugly, heavy, flappy capes. I'm glad that those are finally starting to see the way of the dodo. That's why I'm kind of really not wanting to go towards Marvel Legends anymore, because I'm so tired of these heavy, nasty, fat capes when you can get these beautiful bendy wire versions and just have all these lovely proportions. Which one do you guys prefer? I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep this one. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. If you're interested, let me know. Maybe we can work something out, but I'm definitely keeping the Mafex one. What are you going to do with your Batman action figures? Are you going to sort them by heroes and villains? Are you going to do Knightfall recreations? Are you going to do action figure photography? Share your photos with us over on the socials. I'm glad that I decided to break both of these figures out at the same time and do a side-by-side comparison. And I will say that I had a lot of fun with both of these renditions of Azrael, or as the Knightfall Batman, as the package says. With that being said, however, if I had to choose, hands down, Mafex wins the comparison. I mean, the McFarlane's an okay choice, and it's relatively comic accurate, but the silver tones, the articulation, the accessories, this thing just beats it hands down. So I will put it this way. If you guys are kind of frugal and on a budget, just like everyone is, then definitely go with the Knightfall version from McFarlane. However, if it's like a special holiday, or as I can't remember the character's name, but from Parks and Recs when they go to the mall, and you have a little bit of extra cash, treat yourself and get the Mafex version. This to me is the ultimate version of Jean Paul Valley when he took over the mantle of Batman. So if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, as I always say, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is that you get your action figures and comics, and either grab either or if you can, both. And if you can't find your local comic shop, then check out the places we talked about at the beginning of the review. Speaking of, if you did enjoy this review, I really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Bane bell next subscribe, that way as I get to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and discussing and hearing your thoughts and feedbacks down in the comments or on the socials, which I'll make sure I have the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, photo slideshow coming up next, and happy hunting, everyone. Hey y'all, I got some action figures up for sale to make room for future reviews on the channel. If you're interested, hit me up on the socials or shoot me an email. I'm only using PayPal for now. Check out the Google link in the description for pricing and availability. If something grabs you, we can work out a price. And just a heads up, shipping will be additional based on your location. Thanks for supporting the hunt.